So welcome to the Beyond Cinema and CELEBS.com studio up here at TIFF. Noah Segan. Firstly, congratulations, opening night film with Looper. How exciting is that to be part of something so epic, biggest film festival in North America, opening night film?
It's a great honor. It's one of the greatest honors I can imagine to open TIFF, and a lot of us are TIFF alumni. You and I were sitting here 3 years ago for Dead Girl, which was a midnight movie, which is left of center, wild, crazy time, under the radar, and that was a few years ago, and I was now I feel like I've graduated a little bit,
There's nowhere to go from opening night.
Is there not anywhere? Now you're depressing me. No, that's really. There's nowhere to go from opening night.
Bigger role opening night.
And Ryan, our filmmaker, made Looper. He had Brothers Bloom the same year, and so it feels like a homecoming. And it feels like a we got a boost,
Yeah, I mean, talk about Ryan. I mean, you and Joseph Gordon-Levitt both kind of got a real career kickstart out of Brick, which was kind of this indie smash hit. And you've worked with Ryan a couple of times since then, now and then on Brothers Bloom. What is it about him that's kind of made him just one of those guys who's, everyone's interested in seeing what he's up to next?
He's a great filmmaker.
Has he changed?
No, that's actually I mean he's changed in that he's matured as we all change, we all grow, we all learn new things, we all have new tastes, but in getting to know Ryan as well as I've gotten to know him over the last 8 years, he simply reinforces who he is, which is, as a person, he's the most generous, kind, compassionate person I know, and as a filmmaker, I think his movies are getting better. I think that obviously he's got more options now. As the budgets go up, you get more time, you get more toys, and you get to invite more people to be part of the family. But he still treats it exactly as he did on the set of Brick. Yeah.
So I mean, even though you've got Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt in this film, and then he keeps you guys in. Obviously, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's career is kind of rocking right now as well. Does it feel like a family, like being back on set with Joey?
Absolutely. It is. It's a very familial vibe, and the thing to keep in mind is not only is it Joe, who we work together with on Brick, but Ryan has the same cameraman, his cinematographer, Steve Yedlin, his composer, Nathan Johnson, his producer, Ron Bergman, and of course, these are department heads, so from there, they hire people, and they want to hire the same people. They want to hire their family and their friends and the people that they've worked with before, so it's very tight, and it's very similar, and Ryan engenders, he attracts people who want that. So when you meet Bruce or Jeff Daniels or Emily, or even when you fly halfway around the world to do a little shtick in Brothers Bloom, do one scene, and you meet Adrian Brody or Mark Ruffalo or Rico Kikuchi, you meet these people. It's like going to a family reunion and meeting a second cousin that you just had not had an opportunity to spend any time with before.
Yeah. So next time you go home, Mum's like, I didn't know our second cousin was Bruce Willis.
And he's a very gracious guy. He's a good second cousin to have.
The reviews on the film have been overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, Rotten Tomatoes has it at 100% now. Audience scores about the same, 99 or so. People are saying things like we were talking about earlier, that if your friends don't like Looper, then maybe they're not your friends. Or, just one of the 10 coolest movies of the year, things like that. What do you think it is about this film that's making it resonate that way?
It's a good film. We're in a great time right now. I think the last generation of movies, of big movies, accessible movies that everyone can go see in most movie theaters has, they've been movies from auteurs. The fact that if you went back in time 25 years and watched Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and then said this guy is going to make 3 really fun popcorn movies with big movie stars having a ton of laughs and action, you'd get laughed out of a room. You know, if you watched Evil Dead and said this guy's going to make Spider-Man movies and they're going to be wonderful and they're going to be comic books and they're going to be, you know, exciting and humorous, and nobody would believe it. And I think that that audiences expect good movies when they go to see a big movie. It's not, you know, the line is being blurred now between what we expect from indie or a melodrama and what we expect from something that might have Bruce Willis in it, or you know, some good action gunfight stuff, you know.
Right.
It's sort of melding together. You know, Chris Nolan being a great example of that you know, a lot of people talk about when they talk about that phenomenon.
Yeah, and I saw Joseph the other night talk about, obviously working with Chris Nolan, Steven Spielberg he was talking about as well,
Mm-hmm.
and Ryan Johnson in the same sentence. Obviously a high praise. What is it about Joe that's kind of made him so interesting as well, and so the man of the moment?
Joe is by far and wide the most idealistic person I know. He, no matter what he goes through, no matter how difficult his job is, no matter, you know, how hard he's working and you know, the myriad things he's got going on, he puts creativity and art at the top of the list, and values it, and values your art and my art and his friends' art and the art of the people who work on his site on Hit Record. And I think that mentality that is you know, frankly something I aspire to that I can't achieve, and I think a lot of us would love to be able to have that. It's like magic, and he maintains it, and I think that that's very attractive, obviously, to everybody. It's attractive to an audience. It's attractive to other artists. You know, it's about collaboration for him.
And yet you're the one who gets to have your character name in this film be Kid Blue. How did that
Well, he's
come
called Joe. It was written for him too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know.
How did that come about? Like
how did it come about that? It came about that.
Did you ask for it? Or
No, not at all. Not at all. About 8 years ago, when we were in rehearsals for Brick, I read a 2-page short story called Looper that was written from the perspective of, I think, the younger character sort of coming to terms with and chasing his older self. And that was it. That was all that existed. Ryan, who's a very prolific guy who he writes poems, he writes music, he writes, you know, and these are just things that he does to sort of keep the juices flowing, not necessarily with any intention. I don't think at that point he had written it with an intention to make a film. I think he had just written a cool story. And then, you know, filed it away and made Brick and made Bloom and discussed all the other stuff he wanted to make. But about 3 years ago, he sent me a script, and the way Ryan works is he has all these little moleskin notebooks, you know, those very sort of elegant black notebooks, and nobody really knows what's in them. And you'll just see him. He'll be doing something in them. He doesn't like to show them, and he's not terribly secretive. It's just his business, his process. I personally think that if you look through the dozens and dozens of moleskin notebooks, it's just like dick pictures. It's just like obscene. It's just boobs. It's, you know, it's like I actually think it's all going on up here, because what happens is when he actually does get a draft done, it's usually really similar to what we end up with. Yeah. And that was the case with Looper. I opened up the script, and there on page, you know, whatever, 12 is this character Kid Blue. And I finish it, and I talked to him on the phone. I said, you know, what's up with the character? He said, well, that's you. Your Kid Blue. It's your nickname. It's you. And that was it.
Yeah, that's very cool. And, you know, tell me, like, you know, that's 3 years ago. Waiting for the actual film, then waiting for it to come out. What's that like for an actor when you know?
Horrible. It's the worst thing in the world. It's especially when you're an actor who's still fighting for a job. You know, it's a very, you know, it's wonderful that Ryan would consider me for the role and write the role for me. But, you know, there's a lot to keep in mind when you're casting a movie. There's no guarantees up until the minute that you actually start rolling the film, and then even then, there's that famous cutting room floor. You know, Ryan was very supportive, and so was Joe and Ram, everyone was very supportive, and the financier, Jim Sturt and his company Endgame, they were supportive, but I needed to be vetted. You know, once you put together a movie like Looper and you've got some really big stars in there, they want to make sure everything is dialed in. So that was, not gonna lie, very nerve-wracking, and luckily I had a lot to prepare. You know, I have an accent in the film. I do a Southern accent, you know, because I want to be a cowboy, just like I want to be in real life, right? Yeah. And I got to learn how to spin my guns. So I had stuff to keep me occupied, and then we shoot the movie, and then you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you know it's good, man. You know it's good, and all you can do is tell your friends how good this movie is and hope they see it.
So what would you do if you were your older self talking to you now? It's the obvious question coming out of this film. What would you tell yourself now as your older self?
Start working out sooner in life. That's been a big one. Start working out sooner in life. I don't. I'm not a big regret guy. I would pretty much forget all of my past if you gave me 5 minutes of the future. I wanna see what's gonna happen.
All right, we'll work that out.
You got that?
Yeah.
You got that for me?
I got that for you. All right, cool. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes out with us.
Thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
Cheers, man.
It really is. Thank you.